I see. Very, 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 very sorry out here. It was on mute. But nevertheless, I should be audible, to everyone right now. I welcome you all to this particular session of, 10 questions. Yeah. This week we are going to go ahead and discuss a fresh band of questions which are very close to the, real exam. But, those would definitely be helpful for you to go ahead and help boost your preparation a lot. Yep, and also I was also going ahead and mentioning about the new website, or the avatar that you go ahead and get to see, the version 2.0 of EduHubSpot, where we have several new things to go ahead and look out for, especially the new simulator. Yeah, with the questions, the slides, and the tests aligned with the new one, and also very importantly the old simulator, yeah, which stays put. Yeah, it's there to go ahead and make use of. All those who are already aligned or getting done with the old simulator, they can go ahead and make the most out of it, at their convenience. Of course, you have your mentors to go ahead and chase, keep us busy, and we are always happy to go ahead and help you the best way possible, right? So, having said that, let's get started with the questionnaire of the day. And for anyone and everyone who is looking out to, going ahead and making the most out of today's weekly session, you can go ahead and share this particular link with them. Yeah. So we are there on YouTube. It's also getting telecasted live on my LinkedIn channel as well. So always welcome to go ahead and be part of my LinkedIn communications and ask me or throw me any questions on PMP, and I'd be more than happy to go ahead and help you from the aspect of winning over the exam. Right? It's not only about passing but also about acing the exam in your first go or first attempt. Doesn't matter if it's in your second or third attempt. You can easily go ahead and reach me out at any point of time on any queries. We would be more than happy to help you out. Yeah. So again, be it any queries on the new website, how to go ahead and make the most out of the new website, or any other queries or questions that you might have about your current exam state, where you are not fully sure about where you're venturing out, venturing out possibly in the wilderness and worrying, or going ahead and thinking that I'm getting 80%, 90% in this, that, and all. Am I ready for the exam? Well, we do have the answer to that. So reach us out. Yeah, we'll make sure it'll definitely be worth it. We are not going for quantity. We are always going for quality. Yes. So even if it is a 15 minutes that we from our team of mentors are dedicating, for your upliftment, we will make sure that it's worth it. Okay, so enough of talking. Let's go into the questions, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen. Here goes the first question. Let me increase the size of view, and your time starts now. Okay, so last 10 seconds. So I'm counting at my end. So anyone else wishes to go for it? I see a couple of options out here. Demo Brother says C, Adam says C. Okay, so we are getting a lot of C's out here. Okay, so I see a few of the comments reading that the video clarity needs to improve. Yes, we are working on that. Some issues out there technically, but very soon you will be going ahead and seeing advancements or improvements in terms of that. So be rest assured from that perspective. Okay, so I see a mix and matches of, in fact, majority of C's coming out here. One D out here. But let's see what the answer to this particular question is. So you're the agile project manager of a software project. It has come to our attention that over last three agile iterations, there is an increasing trend of prolonged test work. Which of the following activities should the project manager plan to help address the root cause? Right? So last three iterations, prolonged test work. So a lot of test work with um, ad hoc kind of testing. You didn't go ahead and envision earlier, but you are seeing that whatever you had envisioned, as part of the efforts to be spent in your test work is steadily and unknowingly and also unwillingly going ahead and getting increased, much to the disliking of the whole team. Right now, what can be the root cause behind that? Prolonged test work. How can you go ahead and address it in a much better way? Now, if you go ahead and see, from the agile, perspective at the outset, if you come out with stories which we can go ahead and identify end to end in terms of its scope at the outset by breaking it down to realizable stories whatsoever, sufficiently small size stories to work with, then you can go ahead and safely test and you know what is testable and what is the scope behind that testing. So if you don't know the scope or the scope is a bit vague with a lot of things being included out there, not sufficiently broken down or the backlog not sufficiently refined, then itself you go ahead and have such kind of issues. And very right, the person who has gone ahead and marked D out here, I see Akanksha. Yes, you're absolutely, to the mark out here. We need to go ahead and come out with greater deal of backlog refinement. Backlog refinement in the sense, the product backlog refinement. We need more and more product backlog refinement, to help save the day for us, for our team, to go ahead and do justice to whatever they are coming out with, and also, to do justice with regards to the testing, that we have to go ahead and come out with at any point of time. It's not about automation whatsoever. So automation can help save the time. You might be thinking from that perspective or angle, but it's not about the time from the automation part. Question doesn't say that it's the manual part of the testing which is increasing, which is causing more and more time overload whatsoever. Yeah, or overburden or overhead at your end. No, it doesn't say that. So you're not there to go ahead and assume that you are not going ahead and following automation, you're following only manual. No. So you can also go ahead and assume anything, right? So that's one critical lesson. Whatever is being given in the context of the question, you should be staying focused to that, right? So if we revise what all we learned in this particular question, so very, very importantly, if you are at a stage where you are seeing that the test work is increasing, beyond your control whatsoever, so then obviously there has something to do, or that has something to do with the product backlog refinement. It is not sufficiently refined. You're not sufficiently having differently small size user stories to make the most out of, and that's where you need some work to go in. You need to come out with greater deal of product backlog refinement. Now, if you see the other options, right? So let's go ahead and try out the elimination. We had been learning out here for so long, right? Option A says come out with the pair testing policy. Now, peer testing policy, possibly, some of the other ways of, coming out with improved testing, right? Just like paired programming in XP. Now, who is saying in the question that you are not currently doing pair testing? That should be the first thing that should be hitting your mind. Question out here reads, which of the following activities should the project manager plan? Now, do you know for sure that your team is currently not going ahead and following pair testing policy? That should first and foremost hit. See, I'm talking about the PMI thought process, right? Now, likewise, if you see for option C as well, yes, absolutely. The same line whatsoever we thought about. Adopting test automation tools. Do we know for sure that we are not coming out with the relevant test automation out there, or would that be of greater help to reduce the time whatsoever? In any case whatsoever, the number of scenarios that you are testing might be huge. You might not be fully clear about the test automation, and the automation tools might not be helpful out here. Come out with an iteration of only testing. Now that is to some other extent whatsoever, right? So if we go ahead with this kind of thought process, no one can save us in Agile, right? Just an iteration for only testing. How is that going in and solving my problem? Can we go ahead and afford that at this point of time? No. The only possible option, that goes ahead and stands with me is, if I have this kind of observation, I have to go for more and more refinement of the product backlog. So Pitambar, refer to our videos, our materials out there. You will get to know what product backlog refinement mean. You can also reach me out if you have any questions technically, in this regard, my email ID, which I'm going ahead and sharing. Yes, it's reprioritization, but you'll have to understand what reprioritization means, and for that you need some context. Now, I don't know what context you're talking about or what you're aware of, which is why it's very very important that you reach us out and we get to know about your current understanding and then only take it forward. But again, feel free to reach me out over LinkedIn, over email. I'll be very happy to make the most out of whatever you are going ahead and coming up with, and obviously helping you out the best way possible. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so comes question 2. Let me make it full screen. All yours, guys. Okay, so last 20 seconds. Okay, so time's up. You see a mix and match of A's and C's. Let's see what the answer to this question is. So you are in a highly competitive arena. The new business models brought forward by market competitors are causing your company to lose its market share. In order to recover your market share, you constitute a cross-functional agile team. Which of the following options tell you about how you can aid the teams increase their chances of coming up with successful recommendations? Now, very, very importantly, and this is how you should be going ahead and tackling any question out there. It's very easy, right? You should not first and foremost feel intimidated. Go for the keywords and see how your thought process should be aligned, right? So you're in a highly competitive arena. So whenever you come out with this word competitive arena, competition out there from the product's perspective, you need to think from the perspective of incremental life cycle. Yeah, remember what incremental life cycle is? You deliver things in bursts. Yeah, it's with high speed is the criteria out there. Remember those things, right? Also in a highly competitive arena, do you look forward to going ahead and coming out with value that you can offer to the to the market out there, to go ahead and edge out or aside from the competitors? Yes, you do so. So if you are in a competitive arena, the new business models that are brought forward by the market competitors, the competitors who are there in your market whatsoever, causing your company to lose this market share, you have to do something about it, right? These new models. Now, in order to recover the market share which the competitors are eating away from you, you have chosen to constitute a cross-functional agile team. Remember, cross-functional, T-shaped, all these are aligned, right? Now, which of the following options will help increase your chances of the team to come out with successful recommendations? Now, even before jumping to the options, I should be very, very mindful to go through the question in details. Take 30 to 40 seconds of my time to read through the question in details, internalize whatever the situation being given, and then only try to preempt the thought process of the options. Now, for me, the incremental things, you're coming out with value which will stand head and shoulders above the competition. These things I can go ahead and preempt, and I'll try to find that relevant option which I can eliminate and then go ahead and hard press on. So, what are the options out here from the list? Option A says, understand and focus on the values customers seek and the values competitors offer. Perfectly in line with my thought process. Yeah, I don't have any complaints about this particular option out here. Next, come out with an understanding as to how competitors' business models can reach more customers at a lower cost. Now, it's a classic case of you overthinking or thinking outside the boundaries of the context of this particular question. Why will I be, knowing, or how do I know for sure that the competitors are reaching out to the customers at lower cost? First and foremost aspect. Do I see that in this particular question? No. So I'm absolutely going ahead and assuming something, right, which I'm not supposed to go ahead and do, isn't it? So option B doesn't make sense to me. I'll go ahead and stop, right, of about reading that particular option because I don't know out here, and this is how PMI plays with you, right? So they will go ahead and come out with options where you might be inclined towards going and choosing that. You should stay aside. Option C says enable profitable delivery of high quality, unique, and innovative products. Now, again, coming to back to the question, does the question say that your team is not going ahead and delivering something which is of high quality or innovative or unique? No, it doesn't say that. Coming to option D, come up with a deeper understanding about why consumers are disappointed by the company's product. Is that also mentioned out there in this particular question? You are in a highly competitive arena, causing your team to lose market share. You have constituted a cross-functional agile team. Which of the following recommendations has that been said? See, very importantly, even if you are not able to preempt what particular option you should be come out with, you can safely have this option of elimination and go ahead and choose the right option, the best one. So B, C, and D are not there in the question. I'm assuming something which is outside the context of the question. Should I go for the same? No. Right? So understanding and focusing on the value the consumers see and what the value the competitors offer. That I can definitely do from the context, whatever is given in the question, and I can safely differentiate between the two and go for it, isn't it? So this should be my best option out here. And there you go. Let's move on to the next question. Making it full screen. Your time starts now. Okay, so last 10 seconds. Anyone? Okay, so I see a flurry of A's. Very nice. Anyone else? Okay, let's get into the explanation of this question. Now, what does this question say? Purely based out of enthusiasm, the client approved the mid demo of your software being delivered. Yeah. So just out of our banking on enthusiasm, the client approved the mid demo. Mid demo in the sense, you know what demos or sprint reviews are, right? So during your software release or during the span of the iteration of your software release, or even you going ahead and delivering whatever you are supposed to deliver at the start of the sprint, if in the middle of your iteration or your sprint, you go for a mid demo, right? A mid-release or mid-review, not release, a review out there of the software being delivered. So that is what the client has gone ahead and approved. However, very importantly, the final software was considered unsuitable, owing to certain features which seem to be incompatible. Very, very important. These are some questions which actually you will go ahead and see a lot, in the real exam. Which of the following options should the project manager undertake to help prevent such kind of occurrings in future? So, how should you go ahead and align with these thought processes? See, questions will come, near around with, the thought processes where, somewhere down the line, the core will be the same, and the situations will be different. So if you are aligned with the right thought process, you should not get anything wrong out there, right? So the client approved the mid demo of the software being delivered. Now the final software was considered unsuitable owing to certain features whatsoever. Now mid demo is being held. Now remember, the demo or the sprint review is from the perspective of getting faster feedback from your customer or your client. But in the middle of that demo itself, you find that the features are, going ahead and are incompatible whatsoever. So, what should you go ahead and do in such scenarios? Which of the options out there should the project manager go ahead and undertake to help prevent such kind of occurrings in the near future whatsoever? Yeah. So, what kind of thing, or how should you go ahead and plan for it? Now, option A says plan for customers testing prototypes and incremental releases in their target environments, right? So that is the thought process whatsoever. So if you are not going for releases or prototypes, if you're not going ahead and being aligned, towards what the client is going ahead and looking forward to, or what they are going ahead and envisioning from the product's perspective, then obviously you are not, doing it. So if you are going ahead and aligning with the testing of the incremental releases, remember incremental releases happens at the end of the demo, right? And testing the prototypes, getting even faster feedbacks than what you are going ahead and doing. That should be the way forward to go ahead and get the nod of the customer, and also to prevent these kind of occurring in the future. Let's see what the other options are talking about. Come up with realistic simulation of end user conditions for developers testing the software. Realistic simulation, is it about realistic simulation of the end user conditions of for developers testing the software? Question is going and referring to that. Is it about simulation? Okay, let's see what option C says. Contact the customer department that defines the product requirements directly. Defining the product requirements directly, is it not defined? That is that going ahead and causing, is the question going ahead and referring to me? I doubt it. Make sure that all software releases include adjustable accessibility features. Now, what will adjustable accessibility features have to do with this particular context? Again, overthinking, right? So D and C gets knocked off. If you see about B, realistic simulation of end user conditions. Now, you might say or argue that these are aligned with our requirements out there, right? Now, again, this would be a bit far stretched where I'm saying that I have not simulated the end user conditions, still I'm still going for demo. That's a bit of overthinking out here outside the context of the question. In this particular scenario, what I should be preempting is that I have some incompatible features. I will obviously get to work on my features upon faster feedback. I should be going out and looking forward to faster feedback, obtaining the same, by making sure that I'm testing prototypes and also going and coming out with more and more releases in an incremental fashion, right? Attuned to howsoever we go on and do in Agile. So that's what A would be looking forward to. Okay, so now those who are facing any issues out there from the video quality perspective, you can always go back and watch the video out there. When I do go ahead and see my video out there, once it's recorded whatsoever, I don't have any issues whatsoever reading. But then having said that, well, working on the lighting part, also the technical aspects to go ahead and improve the video quality should not be a big deal for you. But go for the recording once you're done with, any problem whatsoever from the video perspective, you will get that result. After that, also, if you are not able to go ahead and make the most out of these questions, again, you're free to go ahead and reach me out. Should not be a problem. Let's move on to the next question. Even before that, let's answer this correctly. As you see, and here comes the next question. Again, 1 minute for this. Okay, so seems like many of you are fond with option A. Yeah, we are having many questions with option A as the right option, but is A out here the best option now? So Devbrata says C, Chandan says C. Okay. Anyone else? Srinivasan also says C. Okay, so let's see what the answer to this particular question is. And this is how you should be going for these questions. You won't be getting these questions wrong at any point of time. Trust me, just follow as to how I have to guide. As a project manager, you wish to know if there's a good combination of T-shaped skills in the agile team. Now that T-shaped skills is very, very important. If you are aware of what T-shaped skills are, then only you'll be able to make the head and tail of this question. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. Now, T-shaped skills or cross-functional skills, in agile team, is a core feature, right? Where we in agile team, go ahead and make sure that the team members collaborate amongst each other. How they can go ahead and collaborate? It's not about only say the software developer working in his or her software development role. He or she might be required to collaborate across in multiple disciplines in multiple roles as well, which is where the T-shaped skills of theirs comes in play. People who are skilled in their own domain but also equally skilled in other domains out there, that they can go out and extend their hands of collaboration with others simultaneously. So you wish to know if there's a good combination of those T-shaped skills. Now, which of the following can the project manager measure to help determine the same? Whether you are going ahead and having a good combination of T-shaped skills in your agile team or not. Now, when you collaborate, right, you know very well that you or your team manager out there doesn't have to go ahead and assign something specifically to you. You by yourself go ahead and take care of the task at hand and get done with those assigned tasks. So if, say for example, the number of reassignment of the tasks are less, in fact lesser, the greater will be the degree of collaboration and greater will you be happy as a project manager that yes, I do have a collaborative team in place where I don't have to, people don't have to go out and ask someone in the team to go out and pick up the work. They by themselves collaborate in lieu of the T-shaped skills and get done with. And this is a classic example of you being aware of what T-shaped skills are. Again, if you need more details, if you want more understanding on the same, please reach me out, right? So if you see greater degree of collaboration with SMEs, now I am going to test that itself. How can that be the correct option? I see many of you going for option A. You see why option A can't be the right option. So I'm going to measure. I'm actually measuring the greater degree of collaboration in the team. I'm actually going ahead and seeing how it can be a good combination or how can the greater collaboration or is the team going ahead and having such degree of greater collaboration amongst themselves. Now, obviously, I can't say that I'm having greater degree of collaboration, which proves that I have greater degree of collaboration in the team, right? No. So option A gets ruled out. Option B says reduce internal knowledge sharing. Now, knowledge sharing is something which happens, but it's not something which will go out and showcase that yes, you definitely are in a place where there is greater T-shaped skills. Won't. Falling reassigned tasks definitely in line with howsoever we thought. Falling detected defects, obviously not. It has nothing to do with your team being T-shaped. Yes, Musa. Yes, Srinivasan. Yes, Devaprabhu. Yes, Chandan. You are absolutely right. It is option C out here. So moving on to the next question. Okay, so anyone else wishes to give it a go? Okay, let's deep dive into this question. With a number of agile projects running concurrently, yeah, so number of projects running concurrently, meaning parallelly, right? The PMO office of your company wishes to see information radiators to share progress as well as key lessons learned, right? So the number of agile projects running concurrently, the PMO office of your company wishes to use information radiators. You know, information radiators, yeah, those are pieces or boards or chunks of information, readily available for your team, to make the most out of, like Kanban boards, right? So you have some other, charts out there which can be readily visible, something which talks about the current work, and you go ahead and, get to receive that information and obviously take it forward. So that is the PMO office, wants to have those information radiators, to share progress as well as key lessons learned. Now, these are the two very important parts of your question: progress as well as key lessons learned. In which of the following ways can this particular feat be achieved? Progress as well as key lessons learned. Now, very, very importantly, as I mentioned at the outset, your key, thought process or your, frame of mind will be to go out and choose for the right keywords. And this is what I keep stressing upon, question upon question upon question. So if you are getting it right, be it any number of scenarios whatsoever, or questions whatsoever, you'll get those right. And this is also precisely the reason as to why I sometimes go ahead and come out with these questions, which I might have also gone ahead and discussed sometime in the past, because this is where you get yourself more and more ready. Is not necessarily the kinds of situation which will only appear in the exam. There can be n number of situations out there, any number of situations whatsoever. But if you have the right thought process, if you're preparing yourself the right way, then you can as such go ahead and align yourself in the right direction, and from then onwards, you go ahead and take it forward in the right direction whatsoever. Right. So information radiators, you want to share progress as well as key lessons learned. Yeah, sharing progress as well as key lessons learned, both of these aspects are very, very important. Now if you have to go ahead and take care of both these aspects, remember, you'll have to find out an option which takes care of both, right? So some progress, defining information radiator, and also something is aligned with the lessons learned. Let's see what the options are saying. Fishbowl techniques, okay, so something which can go ahead and share me progress out there from the fishbowl perspective, okay, well and good. Webcams to broadcast all Kanban boards and cycle the images sequentially on the radiator. That's perfectly, talks about the, the progress that you get to see on the information radiators, right? But that's only one part of the question being sufficed. How about the key lessons learned? Can you make the most out of the key lessons learned out there? Option C says, come up with an internal wiki page which all the agile teams would be able to update in real time and consult on demand. Now that helps from the key lessons learned perspective whatsoever. But then how is it helping from the information radiators, aspect? Or the other way around, if you talk about the wiki page from the information radiators perspective, okay, well and good. How is that going in and helping from the, key lessons learned? Option D says install monitors displaying feature burn up charts. Okay, so that deals with my information radiators, as well as a digest of retrospectives. Now, retrospectives, if you are aware, is a key area or a key ceremony where you deal with these lessons learned. So this is the only option that takes care of both the keywords, and that's where you go for. See, the focus being on quality, not on quantity. The more you go ahead and apprise yourself or prepare yourself with these concepts or these thought processes, the more you will get the relevant questions correct. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Okay, so last 10 seconds. Okay, so I see a couple of D's out here, one B. Anyone else? Okay, so let's get into the explanation for this question. Out of five agile teams, four are kept away for a month. So kept away in the sense those four teams are not going ahead and working, right? So they are not working at what they are supposed to go ahead and take forward. So they are kept away. Fine. So only one agile team is working. However, the project that they are involved in needs to make progress, right? So there were five agile teams who are working. Four are kept away for a month. One of the teams whatsoever is working only, and the project that they are working on needs their support, needs their involvement to make progress. There are three foreign contractors who happen to work remotely on the stories. So these foreign contractors are working remotely on the stories. In their first sprint, they misinterpreted certain usability requirements but completed five stories blocked due to algorithmic complexity. So they misinterpreted certain usability requirements. There are certain usability requirements which got misinterpreted, but completed five stories blocked due to algorithmic complexity. So there are five stories which are blocked due to algorithmic complexity. Okay, which of the following should the project owner, go ahead and do? So there was some misinterpretation from the usability requirements perspective. They completed five stories which are blocked, due to some complexity from the algorithmic, perspective. What should the project manager go out and take care of? Option A says find another remote team with better linguistic skills. Is it the language or the linguistics which is playing a role out here? No. Option B says reprioritize the product backlog to suitably match the remote team skills. That's precisely the thought process that's you're looking forward to out here, isn't it? So if there is some misinterpretation based on some requirements, right? So then go ahead and align those stories which they are going ahead and matching whatsoever with regards to their skills. Ultimately, you have to get something done. You have to extract some value from your team, which is as such attuned with their work whatsoever, or the work which is attuned with their skills, right? So reprioritizing the backlog to match the remote team skills, very, very importantly. Now, this happens to be a thought process common across any concepts or any questions or scenarios. Say a scenario which says that you have a story which doesn't match or fit your skills. Would you be able to perform better out there in such story? No. So you go ahead and reprioritize the backlog, or refine the backlog, or reprioritize, or come out with a better version of the product backlog or the list of the requirements which are attuned to what your team is looking forward to whatsoever, or their skills. Then only it's a win-win. Otherwise, there is no point of coming out with stories which the skills won't be matching out. So go for matching the skills, and then allow the team the bandwidth to get up, or learn or earn those skills, and then take those stories forward which didn't align with the skills initially upfront. Option C says get all the usability stories assigned to the local team member. Is that going ahead and helping in any way? No. Have an interpreter engaged to translate all the requirements. Is it the problem of an interpreter out here? I see many D's out here as well. And is it the problem that, again, going back to my, option A out here, linguistic skills, what it was referring to. So again, interpreter whatsoever out here, what does that have to do with all the requirements? Right now, why it is talking about the skills? Because they misinterpreted certain usability requirements and completed five stories blocked due to some complexity. So if it is something which is complex whatsoever, obviously that's something is difficult to understand, or you are not aligned with, or you don't have skills on, right? So that somewhat aligns with only option B out here. So you go ahead and reprioritize the backlog to make sure that it suits the remote team skills and they are aligned with whatever the the requirement from the stories are. And that's how you go ahead and take it forward. Making sure that you are taking care of all the complexities and reducing all the complexities needs to get reduced from your end. You're tackling that algorithmic complexity at your end, whatsoever. Okay, so the best option out here obviously is option B, and you move forward with confidence. So here comes question 7. 1 minute. So last 10 seconds. Very nice. Uh-huh. So I see B's, C's, and D's. Let's discuss in details what this question is about. So, very importantly, again, for such tricky questions, you'll have to go by the keywords and also make sure that you're aligned with what specific terms or terminologies, appear in this particular question. So you're part of an agile team which is subject to frequent rotation of staffs, right? So the staffs get rotated frequently from various departments to help augment or support the team, right? So the staffs keep rotating, frequently, and that goes on and helps the team to, go on and support the work that they are doing. Okay. Now, in which of the following ways should the project manager compensate for the disruption to the non-rotating team members? So, obviously, if you keep rotating the team members whatsoever, it will cause disruptions, right? In which of the following ways can the project manager compensate for the disruption that's happening to the non-rotating team members? Okay. Now, very importantly, you are working in an agile team. Now remember, in agile team, the focus should be on facilitating rather than directing. If you remember that, half of the work is done from your end. So even if this concept of this question seems a bit difficult for you to go ahead and tackle, for example, if it at all seems as though that way, you actually have a trick to go ahead and help solve this as well. How? Option A, if you go for direct staff leaving this project to choose members who deserve recognition. Now, whenever you see this direct staff, you never do that. That's right. At least on the PMI thought process, you never direct people. You create a scenario. You empower the team members to make the most out of it. Right. So directing doesn't go ahead and make any sense. Now, option B says provide the staff higher authority to choose which task they work on. So you providing the staff with higher authority to choose, which task they work on, whatsoever. Now there is no higher authority or lower authority. That's something which is you should be keeping in mind. Everyone is at same level out there in agile. In fact, this question actually goes on and helps you clear all the thought process that we should have from an agile team's perspective. B also doesn't fall in. Option C, if you see, require staff leaving the project to come out with the knowledge sharing workshop. Absolutely makes sense out here, isn't it? Please come out with the knowledge sharing. The knowledge sharing works. The collaboration, the teachable skills, right? That doesn't have any problem. Option D says provide authority to staff member. Again, why should I go ahead and provide authority to someone in the agile team? They're already self-empowered. See, if you go by this thought process itself, you can easily and safely eliminate and come out with the right option. Then, if you want to go ahead and validate from the questions perspective, the frequent rotation of staffs, disruptions happening, how can you protect it? Have those knowledge sharing going on. That's the best way to go ahead and help deal with such kind of disruptions, isn't it? And that seamlessly aligns with your thought process. So, in two ways, you get this particular question marked in a manner that you are not going to miss out on the critical aspect or the critical stuff. You know for sure that this has to be correct, and this is how you should be going for the exam. It's not all about you juggling with the concepts or you memorizing the concepts even before you go to the next question. It's not all about you juggling or memorizing the concepts, right? But rather you going for the right thought process, the right strategy, because that will go out and help you at the end of the day. The fail-safe mechanisms which you should be going ahead and adhering to at all points of time, those are going to help you at any point of time. Yep. So you want to again know more, please reach me out. Okay. Going back to the question. Question 8 for you. Okay, I see some great options coming out. So many going for option D. Anyone else? Okay. So let's get into the explanation of this question. Now, at times, the agile team has idle periods when having to wait for the product director to inform the product owner on new goals, hinging on decisions that depend on the analysis of market research. Which of the following measures could help reconcile the needs of the director and the agile team? Very importantly, there are some idle periods, right, where they have to go out and wait for the director to inform the owner on new goals. That also hinges on decisions that depends on analysis of market research. There is some dependency for which there is a wait period. Now, which of the following measures can help reconcile the needs of the director and the agile team? Option A says lead team to perform brainstorming sessions on new goals to be suggested to the director. Now, you going ahead and leading the team to perform brainstorming sessions on new goals to be suggested to the director. New goals suggested to the director. Well, let's go ahead and read the other options whatsoever. Come up with the team training events during the idle periods. Okay, so is it about the training? Okay, option C says nullify slack by curtailing the team size to help smooth the output curve. Okay, so it says that slack is possibly a contributor towards making the output curve bit not as per the desire. Now, option D says after clearing the backlog, come out with market research spikes to keep the director updated. Very, very important. Now, remember, spikes are some of the other modes or means or mechanisms by which you can conduct a research, right, without being too mindful about the time. Now, why I say without being too mindful about the time, you know very surely that in Agile, the iterations, if you go ahead and time box, which is the way forward, you're time boxing stuffs, right? Meetings, you're time boxing, iterations, you're time boxing into sprints. Now, that's the way to go ahead and attain higher productivity. Now, if there is a research work where you don't know how much time is it going to take, then you should go ahead and rely on these spikes. That is the word that you should be falling back on. So if you see out here, they are having to wait for some time, hinging on decisions that depends on the analysis of the research on market, right? So whenever you see that market research coming in play, agile team, talking about that research might go ahead and take a lot of time. So it's all about research, right? So then you'll have to go ahead and fall back on the concept of spikes, because then only you'll be able to go ahead and make the most out of whatever is there. So that is the catch out there, market research. So if you're working on any research kind of aspects whatsoever, be it market research or be it some other research, you'll have to talk or think from the perspective or concept of spikes, right? So if you see option A, B, and C, has different aspects. Brainstorming sessions, to go ahead and be suggested to the director. Well and good. We need brainstorming in research, but how does or what does that have to do deal with solving this problem to help reconcile the needs whatsoever? Right? If you're following agile where things are time boxed, you are going to deal with market research where time can be a bit dicey. So how am I going ahead and reconciling the needs out here? Will brainstorming help? Well, it helps in research, but how is it helping solve the problem? No, option A gets ruled out. Option B, come up with the team training events. Question, does it say that training is something which is lagging from the team's perspective? Option C, nullify slacks by curtailing the team size to help smooth the output curve. Where does slack come from? So B and C can readily, straight away, be eliminated from this particular stack of options. A, as I mentioned, can also be eliminated. You are left with D. You also see that word spike actually makes perfect sync harmony with the option or with the term of research being mentioned in this question. So you go ahead and select option D, click on submit, move forward. So here's your next question. 1 minute again. Okay, so I see some options already coming up. 10 more seconds. Okay, let's dig deep into this question then. So John is the project manager of the Agile team. One of the frustrated Agile team members approach you to complain that a senior team member is forcibly assigning all the backlog items which seem interesting to him. Now, many questions can come like these, where, um, you know, whatever your team is supposed to work on, possibly they don't have a mutual consensus or a mutual agreement. Yes, Devabrata. Yeah. So mutual consensus is not there, and you go ahead and have to fight for whatever you're working on or whatever you wish to go for. Now, whenever there is not a mutual consensus in an agile team where everyone should work collaboratively, seamlessly, peacefully, and work for each other's growth and improvement, there comes the need of having a mutual consensus. Technical terms, in technical terms or aspects or parlance, you have to have ground rules, right? The ground rules which your team should go ahead and decide at any point of time. Let's see what the options are saying. Option A says, come out with a new rule so that the team members can select an item on a rotational basis. Absolutely the way forward. Come out with new rules, right? So that the team members can select an item on a rotational basis. Is there a better option? Option B says stress on the fairness with the senior team member. Fine. You can go ahead and talk about the fairness with the senior team member. But next day, there might be some other aspect or some other story where even a junior team member can go ahead and take it forward. Right? Be in such a similar scenario where they are going ahead and saying that let me work. Is that good? Then again you take it forward with the junior team member. No, you have to do something which is a common aspect, which is dealt with as a common rule out there in your team. Option C says ask the team to come out with new ground rules for ground work distribution. So if you have the ground rules upfront or in place at the outset, you know for sure that the team is going to follow the same as they move along from one iteration to the other, and they just go ahead and stick to it. You don't have to go ahead and act as per situations. Rather, you go ahead and have the team have a ready in hand understanding in place so that any problem whatsoever they can go ahead and help deal with that. And what does help in that scenarios or those kinds of situations? It's the ground rules, right? Now, option A was a good option. Option C is also a good option, right? So we'll ballpark both options A and C for the time being. Option D says come up with a new rule to help enable team members select an item on a rotational basis. Again, you know, come out with a new rule, right? Fine, absolutely okay. But then, very, very importantly, is it only about this rule or anything pertaining to any of the other rules whatsoever? Option D is also something which makes sense, just like option A, option C, as well as option D. Now, this is a unique scenario or a unique situation where I want to go ahead and stress further on what should be the best option out here, right? Out of A, C, and D. B can be ruled out. Fairness, well, we'll have to stress on fairness. Have to come out with something which you should be following, right? Now, is it only about coming out with a new rule, only one rule whatsoever? Or is it also about addressing each and every aspect of work distribution and see that we have a mutual consensus in place? The out here in this particular scenario, it demonstrated that there is a difference in opinions or thought process amongst the team members to go ahead and safely align with the backlog items, right? That actually calls for you going ahead and going back to the drawing board and seeing whether there are other aspects as well to be dealt with. Just not about only one rule. It's also about you going ahead and discussing or thinking through from the work distribution perspective. This is where you slightly extrapolate your thinking and see from the work distribution perspective out there and see whether the new ground rules are in place. So amongst A, C, and D, which one is the standout? Which one is the best option? It is the option which talks about ground rules in common out here, which is option C. Very, very important to note. And note how we are coming out with the best option out of the lot. No one is saying or arguing that A and D are not bad options. But which one is the best out of the lot? Yes, absolutely. The team charter or the ground rules, which makes the most sense. It covers the holistically all the thought processes that can go wrong in this particular scenario or situation. You can't say for sure that only this rule should be valid out here. No, whenever such kind of things happen, go for a common generic discussion as to where all the ground rules got missed. Make sure that those things don't happen in future. So remember, as a project manager, you have to be futuristic. You have to have a plan or a insight for vision for future. So it's not about only one scenario. It's all about the other scenarios which can seamlessly go ahead and tag along, just like this. So here goes the last question of the day, which is question 10, and 1 minute for you. Very nice. I see a couple of C's. Anyone else? Okay, so Anand says C. Nikita Devabroto says C. Anyone else? See, there is a reason as to why I, hard press on this amount of time out here. There is a timing strategy which I go out and share with my mentees as well. When you are going for the same. So if you are looking forward to that timing strategy, you can again reach me out. Yeah, I will also be going ahead and helping out seamlessly on that. It's not only about learning and then going for the exam. It's very, very importantly also about the strategies with respect to time, with respect to your fail-safe strategies, be it elimination, be it you understanding the question, looking for the keywords, and which strategy to apply where. That obviously will come with more and more of discussions, practice, and obviously getting aligned with howsoever EduHubSpot takes you. Now, the question says, Mary, a R&D executive, occasionally visits the Agile team's work area providing instructions on urgent feature work. So there is some urgent feature work which needs to be done. Now, Mary, the R&D executive, occasionally visits the team's work area providing the instructions on urgent feature work. In one of the sprint reviews, the product owner becomes upset when he got to know that the teams worked on Mary's requested features, right? Now, there is some urgent feature work which Mary comes up with. The product owner becomes very upset when he or she goes there and gets to know that the team actually worked on those urgently requested features. Now, which of the following options would go out and reveal as to how the project manager would deal with the relevant problem at hand? The problem, what is the problem? The project product owner is misaligned with how the team is going in and taking it forward. Now, any other such similar scenarios where you get to see that there is a possible, misalignment of the expectations. So the team has gone ahead and worked, they have gone ahead and delivered, right? And they might have even solved some problem, but then there is someone else who is upset with the same. Obviously, talks about increased or improved collaboration. So any scenario or any situation which aligns with this thought process, you know, has to have one particular way to go ahead and deal with. If you see option A says provide the executive access to add new items to the backlog, what does that have to do with new items being added to the backlog? Make sure that the executive issues change requests. Now there are many of my mentees as well who go for change requests or opting for change requests when they see new items being added to the backlog or any problem whatsoever. No, change requests are not always the way to go forward for any problem. You'll have to be very mindful, right? C, get the executive and the product owner work together. That's what we are looking forward to, the collaboration, right? Option D says escalate to upper management to ensure that the executive no longer interferes with the team. Absolutely not. Interference from any direction is welcome, but we'll have to adhere to the agile processes from scratch till end. We should not jump between various aspects, or we should not be going ahead and not deep diving into the agile way of working. But then it's not about interference; it's about involvement from everyone, right? We should not go ahead and choose this particular option, at least from PMI thought process. So obviously, stand out is option C, as many of you have gone ahead and rightly chosen. So get the executive as well as the product owner working in tandem to agree to a workflow, right? So this brings me to the end of today's questionnaire. I hope you enjoyed the same. Yes, some questions might have seem to be a bit on the repetitive front from the thought process perspective, but then it's as such very, very important to get aligned with how you are going in and tackling these questions, because then only you'll be able to make the most out of all the questionnaire that we came out with. Now, at the fag end of our today's session, let me go ahead and tell you that next week also I'll be going ahead and taking you forward with a fresh new set of questions, with obviously some of the other similar thought process, some of the other similar strategies, but definitely something new to go ahead and learn from, right? Also, very importantly, we came out with a new website, as I mentioned at the outset. So feel free to go ahead and explore all the options that you get from there. And if you have any doubts, if you want to go ahead and explore further options as to how to go ahead and cement your preparation from PMP perspective, just feel free to reach me out at any channel, howsoever you want to go ahead and reach me. I also am going and sharing the YouTube link of this particular, recording out here. For those who have faced any issues in terms of, the screen being blurred, or, you going ahead and not being able to avail of the recording in full quality, please go back to the YouTube recording. You'll be able to see the entire, deliberation out there in much more clarity whatsoever. Also, very importantly, if you are looking forward or willing to go out and tag along with our upcoming PMP bootcamp, which kickstarts in just less than 2 weeks from now. Right time to get started with at least a few homeworks upfront being done. It's very important to make the most out of whatever the days that are left. If you are looking forward to a timeline, say May end or even June, to get done with PMP for sure, we can definitely add that kind of confidence from our end. We are going ahead and having success stories every now and then, every day. We're pretty much confident to take you across any situation or any requirement that you might go ahead and have. As always, you can reach me out at my LinkedIn handle out here. Uh, this is the correct one. Yep. And I look forward to making more friends, obviously making new connections, and going ahead and receiving all your loves and likes and shares from time to time. Yeah, so please also go ahead and comment, like, share on our YouTube. That's how we go ahead and keep increasing our influence, our audience, and also obviously, we go ahead and come out with more and more such questions and also helping you every now and then. I'm very happy to go ahead and reach out to many users out there across the globe. I look forward to all your support next week as well. So having said that, take care and look forward to having yet another enriching session next week. Don't worry, we are taking care of the video quality part, and very soon you will go ahead and see something of more improved quality out there from our end as well. But then, from the learning perspective, whatever you should be focusing on are the questions. So, focus on that, take those forward, and let me know if you have any queries any point of time. Take care, have a great week ahead, and look forward next week. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye.